James is here from PlayGen. PlayGen are gamification experts. I'm going to hand over to James Alsop from PlayGen.
Cheers, thank you. Hello everyone. How are you all doing? Early morning? So I'm James Alsop, I'm a partner at PlayGen. These are the sort of things that we tackle at PlayGen. So we've been designing games for about 12 years now. Anything from curing cancer to teenage pregnancy to health policy to money laundering to data security. The new stuff we're doing is monetary policy, chipset design and intelligence gathering. So you can use games for pretty much anything, and this is what we've been doing. These are the sort of clients that we work with. So, you know, MOD, BBC, a different range. It's not one sector. We pretty much cover any sector. So, and these are all the universities that we work with as well, because all our work is grounded in research. My interests, myself, I'm a game designer. I like gamification, I like socialization, I like simulations, monetization, and obviously system architecture as well. So you guys are going to have a great time today because we're going to introduce the adding play cards. So this is basically a toolkit to help you gamify. This is to help you guys become game designers. And you're going to do it in the next 45 minutes, I think your session will be. So here are the rules. So in the pack, when you get given it, there are 4 types of cards. Do not shuffle them. I know it's the human behavior, the human habit of shuffling cards as soon as you get them out of the pack. So the first one is motivators, and those are the blue ones. And so all you have to do is you fan them out like that, and then you get your partner or whoever you're working with to pick 1 or 2 of the motivator cards. Sorry, before this, you have to pick a subject of what you're going to gamify, and I know your first subject is going to be travel insurance. Once you've done that, then you pick out your victory conditions, so you pick 1 or 2 at random, and then you set the rules for the games, so these are the things that make the game interesting and fun. You pick 2 red cards as well. For more complex games, you can pick more cards. That's the way the deck's being developed. And then, because we live in 2014, everything has to be social. So we've included social mechanics as well into the cards. So you can pick a maximum, well, a minimum of 1, but I'd say about 2. So 2 for all of them, to be honest. And so what I'm going to do is just explain a few of the cards, so you kind of get an idea of what we actually mean. Did I go back or forward? Ah, there we go. So I'm going to do some science. Okay, so the motivation. So these are the blue cards. So this is basically why do you want people engaged in your game? What do you want to make them do? What's in it for them? So this is the psychology behind it. So there's a card called competition. So it's basically the natural urge to grapple over resources and rewards. Games are fantastic at doing this. You see racing games. You see people. You go to your kid's sports day. That's a competition. It's a game. You can see in this picture here, you know, there's my dad in the middle. He's got a really big pumpkin. It's a very good competition right there. Curiosity. So this is the basic intrinsic need for what we do as humans. Like, you know those little adverts you go on websites which sit in the corner and you put your mouse over them and you go, oh, it's an advert. You're curious about it. You're like, what did that do? So as humans, we're curious. Free. So everyone likes free things. It's this whole feeling of I don't have to pay for it. It's something free. Games do this amazingly, especially like social games as well. That's why they make so much money. It's because the gifts are free, like the freemium models. People get engaged with free stuff, and then obviously then you can start getting them to pay for it. Meaning. So all games have to have meaning. If there is no meaning, the game it doesn't work. And for us as game designers as well, we always have to believe that we're working towards something meaningful. As a player, you have to believe you're working to something meaningful. Candy Crush, for example, it has meaning. You're completing puzzles. That's your meaning. You're trying to master. You're trying to beat your friends. There's a meaning behind it. So those are just a few motivators. There's a lot more in the deck, so it becomes more interesting. So the next one is, we kind of work backwards. So we got the victory conditions. So you kind of pick these are the cards of how you dictate how you win the game. So, no, sorry, I've just explained it. So there's one called goals and objectives. So games are very good at giving you outcomes and specific tasks or missions. So something to work towards. You know, go collect the sword from the forest. That it's a task that the player has to do. People like being told to do stuff in games. It's the whole idea. That's why they work so well. Checkpoint. So you see this in a lot of racing games, but a checkpoint could be, you know, you get to a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden something changes in the game, or you know, maybe you enact a condition such as something becomes free. Race. So you see it in racing games, but actual like race is it's basically a competition between one or more players. So this could be something, you could create a community game between you and your street, and maybe a race to recycle as much as possible by the end of the week. It doesn't have to be in the fort as a car race. It could be fought in a different context. So those are victory conditions. There's only just talked about a few because obviously I haven't got a lot of time. Next is the game mechanics. These are the things that make it fun, interesting. And this is what make the games work. So difficulty. So games are really good at pitching challenge, and so as you play a game, it starts off really easy, and then it gets progressively more difficult. And people like that. They like the sense of skill and meaning. They like to master games. So you start off playing the tutorial, and then all of a sudden, you know, 60 hours down the line, you're at your computer like this, and you're like, I'm a master. Time. Time in games can be for all different things. So so there's things like appointment dynamics where it says, you know, you have to build some crops, and that'll take you 5 minutes, and then you can come back and harvest those crops. It could be a timer, so you have to do a thing in a certain amount of time. Time's also social, so you beat your friends' time. Resource management, don't really see this much in gamification, which is quite interesting. This is mainly in like real-time strategy games where players are building cities and managing you can see here they're building a pyramid. So this is the whole idea of like being able to control certain types of resources and being able to plan and deploy. This is a very like strategic element to the game mechanics. Points. We have a saying at PlayGen. I'm sure like you see it in gamification, everyone's like add points everywhere. So we say that points without a point are pointless. So if there's no reason why you're giving the player points, and then there's no meaning behind it. If it's just, you press a button, hey, you got 1 million points. You're not going to keep pressing that button. Well, some people might, but that's a different psychological profile of a person. But most people need meaning behind these mechanics, and I think that meaning, that motivator, that meaning needs to be in all these mechanics. You need something behind it for people to get behind and say, oh, actually, yeah, this actually makes sense. I want to do this. Turns are fantastic in a social context. So, in chess, I take a turn, then you take a turn, and then I take a turn again. It's also very good, like you see these are not like real-time strategy games and like war games, but it's also good that it adds social pressure. So if you're in a group and maybe you're playing a board game, and then so I take my turn, and then the next person has to take their turn, and it's that whole social pressure that you take it in turns because you're all as a group. We do this for like creative collaboration. When people are in brainstorming sessions, they don't want to contribute. We enact turn taking to make sure everyone participates, and it's quite interesting because it just builds up there's a light social pressure behind it. It's a fantastic mechanic. Okay, and there's a lot more of those red cards in the deck. Next is the social game mechanics. This makes people come together and play. So achievement, you can see here, this is a pretty damn good achievement, becoming President of the United States. So this is basically challenges for players to complete. They're different to goals. Like goals is something that you do as an individual. Achievements is something social that you do together, or you do for bragging rights. I'm the top player for the week. I'm just going to go brag to my friends about that. You usually see achievements visualized as like little badges. You've done something, so the game rewards you with this visual thing that you can brag with. Communal collaboration, this is fantastic. Everyone coming together. This is also like, you can see like how turn taking could work with communal collaboration because you're coming together. It's this whole action of like players working together to fulfilling one goal. So instead of like in single player games, you fulfill your own individual goal. As a communal goal, it would be one goal for many people. Gifting, this whole ancient anthropological need for reciprocity. This is why the Zynga games and Farmville are so popular, is because you gift something to your friend, and then they're like, oh, you've given me something, I might have to give you something back. And you might not even play in Farmville, so you'll click on the link, you'll go into Farmville, create an account, and then all of a sudden you're gifting out another friend, and it's very, very good for PR, but it's fantastic that this whole need to gift things is inbuilt within us, and if you can invoke that in a game, it's very powerful. Social points. Now, so there's a difference between points and social points. So points are what the game gives you. So you do something, the game will give you some points. Social points is what you guys give each other. So in YouTube, for example, you can see, or even Facebook, you can see the like button here. And when you like something, that's a social point. That's something that you've given that other user. So that was just a quick run through of what the cards are. Because we do a lot of behavioral psychology and stuff, I would recommend reading any of those 3 books. They're fantastic. So Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, Predicting Irrational by Dan Ariely, and obviously Nudge by Tyler and Sunstein. Fantastic books, and they'll teach you a lot about the human mind. And with gamification, it's all about psychology, so understanding it. And this is what we try to put in the cards. So we've been doing this for 12 years, and all our experience for doing that has been put into this card deck. So hopefully it'll be able to get you guys some really cool games. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I've actually had my set for about a year now, which is really, really useful. There's a few more. We've got a set at each of the, we've got four groups. We'll ask you to break into 4 groups. I think you need to set some expectations here. You're not going to produce Son of Monopoly, okay? What you're going to do is explore two scenarios. The first is travel insurance. We picked a couple of things: travel insurance and life insurance. So we'll start with travel insurance, a product that everybody understands, and get you to run through this. What I'm hoping you'll do, as I do when I use these, and I get these out occasionally when I'm lost for inspiration, I just play the game, and what it tends to do is to trigger ideas. So what it'll do is it'll give you ideas, it'll give you an insight into how you could use one of these many mechanics within the travel insurance. You're not going to come away with a board game, okay? You've got 45 minutes. So we'll do that, then we'll have a reflection session and see what people come up with. And I think the trick is to have got you to think outside the box. I mean, this is my experience, and to come up with some insight into some ways. There are a lot of mechanics in these, a lot of different types of mechanics, many of which Jason mentioned. And I think you'll find many of them you will be able to work into those products. So think about travel insurance as a product, as a experience buying travel insurance. How do you buy it? What's the whole process? And how can you build in game mechanics into that whole user experience? Okay, so can I ask you to split now into 4 groups? So let's take it. You guys, why don't you split between those as well, and let's see how we get on.